Hidden in a deep, dark forest lies a house, an old, rotting, mysterious house that hasn't been observed in decades. Once owned by a farmer and his wife, the two fled from the horror of discovering what was hidden in the backyard. It now rests, waiting for someone else to be tempted by its power. Now, several decades later, a young man arrives and stumbles into the house. After stepping inside, all his eyes could see were the long scratches deep in the wooden cabinets and furniture that had long begun rotting away. The planks in the ceiling had fallen down and collapsed, preventing him from walking to the upper level. The pots and pans he saw in the kitchen were completely rusted, with bugs and mold piling around the empty plates in the sink. Creaks in the floorboard kept him on his toes as he walked through this terrible sight. He saw the door to the backyard was missing, allowing full view of what was behind this forgotten home. Moving outside, he saw the pestilent plants and foliage bordering the tall, spiked and black fence. The backyard was quite long but narrow. A sign near the door reading "Water the plants" was hanging from the last screw driven into the wall of the house, showing how long ago this place had been forgotten. The chilling wind tore through the leaves on top of the dead grass, causing them to be thrown up and into the air. The man looked all around. He was completely alone. He took his backpack off his shoulders and took out a flashlight, providing him with just enough light to combat the overwhelming darkness around him. The darkwood trees loomed over his small stature and stood tall into the sky, preventing the light from the sun from reaching the dead, overgrown grass in the garden. He slowly walked towards the edge, where it looked like there was a small hatch in the fence, one that opened sideways, creaking. He crawled through, revealing to himself a place not visible from the entrance of the backyard. He aimed his flashlight forwards and steadied his eyes to see 8 gravestones in a circle with a stone altar in the middle. This middle square of the backyard was sheltered by black bark, leafless trees. The altar was cracked and had vines and branches wrapping around its pillar, which was about 4 or 5 feet in height. Atop the altar, there was a brown book with a heavy-duty spine and a thick brown cover. The gravestones were very run down and appeared to be 2 small planks of wood bolted together to form a cross, driven deep into the ground. There were no signs to signify who had been buried here, only shovels resting beside 4 piles of dirt next to the graves. He walked towards the altar, eager to see if the pages of this book could help him find what he had been searching for. He walked and walked until he was only 1 step away, when all of a sudden, the grass and dirt below him fell into the earth, and the sound of a tarp being pulled shocked him. He fell down into a pit, landing on his knees. A loud snap came echoing from his left leg. Screaming in pain, he tried to grab his knee, but the pit was too narrow, and he couldn't turn around. Gemstones that were lodged into the walls of the pit started to glow all different shades of purple and pink. The chilling wind sent leaves into the air once again as cultic chants began to fill the man's ears. The dirt that had piled up was brought up by the wind and started to fall into the pit. The man started screaming. He begged the universe for just one more minute of life, but the dirt quickly piled up, crushing and forcing the breath out of his lungs. Now a ninth adventurer had been sealed away from this cursed novel of demise.